Hi, hello, can you hear me? Yes, oh, great. Good that technology is working today. Um, Not many of us right now, and it's actually not 7:30 yet, so we're just going to wait until the rest join us. Okay, so some people may join us later, but since it's already 7:30, I think it's best if we start. So just before starting, just to tell you a little bit about myself. So Esther or Esther, depending if I'm in Spain or here in the UK, my name is English, but it can be pronounced in different ways depending on where I am. And I was born and raised in Galicia, in the northwest of Spain, which I always say is kind of like the UK because it's wet, cold, and green. And my heart is 50% UK, 50% Spain. Over the past 10 years, I've been working in marketing, even though I studied business, and I quickly noticed that I was mainly interested in digital marketing, so I did an MA later on and started my marketing career here in the UK in 2011. I'd say my main focus, my experience is basically focused on strategy, innovation, and 360 campaigns. And my background is quite miscellaneous. I've worked for many different companies, but I'd say pretty much focused on education. So I've worked for several higher education companies and a big publisher here in the UK. And I love digital marketing and technology. Everything that it has to do with digital channels, it's my forte. And in a personal way, I never say no to a homemade scone and to a glass of wine. So I'd say those are my two favorite things in life. I don't know, I think we're having problems with the slides. I don't know if you can see my slides now. Sorry for the technical problems. Okay, well, if somebody can't see the slides properly, just let me know, because I don't know if it's my laptop that is not showcasing what you guys are seeing or not. Oh, great. So now we can move into a bit of what Google search is. Don't know if you can still see it because I know it goes a bit slower as expected. So for those who haven't heard of Google search, this is really, really, really basic. Okay, so for those who haven't heard of Google search, sorry for all the technical problems. Google search is a pay-per-click channel that basically allows you to make your business more visual by creating text ads that will show eventually in Google, like the first results page, which is SERP. That means search engine result page. So whenever somebody types something, in the Google search box, it will display a number of results. Those are called SERP. And pretty much not all the companies get to be seen because it's a limited space, and only those with that are very good SEO optimized get to be on the first page. So Google search can help you with this. Google search can help you improve visibility. And these ads will not only display on Google search, but also on Google Maps. How does it work? Yeah, sorry, presentation mode is not working for me. I don't know if you can still see me going through the slides. I hope so. So if not, just shout and let's see what I can do. So how does it work? So you have a screenshot here. This is how the ads are seen. So these are two examples of the ads, and it's not random. We're going to talk about architects. This is the business case that we're going to use today. So basically, like I said before, Google Ads is a paid advertising platform that falls under the marketing channel known as pay per click, where us or you, the advertiser, we pay per click or per impression. So pay per click means whenever somebody clicks on an ad, one of these ads in here, for instance, you get to pay. It depends on the bid, but you pay different prices. And an impression is the total number of times digital advertisement display on someone's screen. So in an easier way, the number of times someone gets to see an ad. So if the number of impressions, for instance, are 1,000, that means the ad was shown 1,000 times. Not to 1,000 people, but 1,000 different times. We have different uses of Google search, and maybe some of you may come up with different ones, but these are the main 5 ones that I've put together. Oh, okay, let's see. I can see that many people is saying that they can see only slide number 3. You should be seeing slide number 5 now. Sorry, I'm trying to get everyone to see what I'm saying. Do you actually see now my screen? Sorry, this is... Okay, since everybody missed slide number 4, let's continue with slide number 4. Hopefully you now can see. So slide number 4. Hold on. Okay, let's see if now it works better for everyone. Sorry, everyone. Is it better now? Okay, thank God. Thank God to hear it's working well now. So if we're all so sorry for all the changes, so sorry, I really apologize. I don't know what's happening with my computer right now. So again, going back to how does it work, you have a screenshot here about the ads, how they work. So you can see 2 examples here. And like it shows there, Google Ads is a paid advertising platform that falls under marketing channel called pay per click. And you, the advertisers, you pay per click. So the number of times people click on your ads, you pay different prices according to the bid that you selected. Or you can also pay per impression. And impressions are the number of times digital advertisements get displayed on someone's screen, which is easier, the number of times someone gets to see an ad. So it's not, if I say 1,000 impressions, it does not mean that 1,000 customers got to see my ad, but it was seen 1,000 times. The different uses for Google search, maybe you can come up with many more, but I think, and to me, these are the main ones. So you can use it when you launch a new product or service. You can use it to highlight a promotion, to increase web traffic, and to boost discoverability, so SEO, as well as for keywords research. So basically, if you're going to launch a new product, it's very difficult sometimes to make it show, to make it prominent on your website. So even if you put it on the homepage, you need an extra boost. So creating ads can help increase visibility. So it could be option number one. Then if you have a special promotion, say a discount, Prime Day, Black Friday, sales, whichever type of promotion, it's really good to drive traffic this way because you make sure you're going to be seen on the first page. Also, if your website is new, if your business is new, if you're not really SEO optimized, this is a very good way to increase visibility, and increase traffic. And also, we're going to see this later, but when it comes to keywords, if you do, even if it's just a small trial campaign, you're going to get so much information in terms of the keywords that people are actually using to reach your business or business that are similar to yours. So just so that you understand it better, I put together some examples. So for instance, when we're talking about a new product or a service, so if you type in Google Sonos, which is a speakers company, they have many different types of speakers and home sound systems. But if you see this ad, they're basically now paying, and they set up this ad to make people aware of the new one, the Sonos Arc, which is kind of like a bar, speaker that looks like a bar. So like I said, to showcase a new product. Then another example, to showcase a promotion. So bands, for instance, if you type bands in Google, you can have the band's organic result, that it's here, but also the ad. And why do they do the ad? Because they want to showcase that they have a special promotion of 50% off. So this is another way to get visibility. Holt International Business School, they basically, if you type in Holt, you get the organic result, but also they're doing an ad. And basically, because they just want to drive traffic, they want to make sure that they're always the first result and then people get to see on the ad. Just like a little bit of technical marketing, just so that you know, when somebody uses the name of the brand, so when you type bands, or when you type Hold, or when you type Nike, those are called branded keywords, because you're basically paying to get traffic that it would actually be for you in any way. So like here, if I type in Hold, I'm actually going to find the organic result, but I want to bid for a paid ad because I want always to be the result number one. If you want to increase and improve your SEO, so for instance, and this is the example that we're going to use later, if I'm an architect in London, there's so many other architects in London, and they may have different websites to mine, properly better SEO optimized. I'm new to the business, I'm new to the city, maybe I've just launched my website. How do I get my website out there? How do I make people aware of it? So these ads can also be a good example. So as you can see in here, these are 4 examples of different architects in London that want to showcase their businesses and want to be on page number 1. And last but not least, what I was explaining before, that we're going to talk about this later, architects. So these are the different keywords, the different searches that people have been using to find architects in London and in the UK. So if we run a trial campaign, we're going to have access to this information, which is very useful, not only to run further campaigns in the future, but also to change and tailor the copy of our website. The more SEO optimized, the better. And although we have Google Console to get information, we also have these trial campaigns to bring new insights. So if we want to start, what do we need? What do we need to start? So we need a Gmail account, and once we have a Gmail account, we need to register at ads.google.com using this Gmail account. Make sure you have card details with you, whether it's Visa, debit, Google accepts everything. So make sure you have it with you, because when you register, you're going to have to fill in some billing details. And the most important thing is to know which are your campaign objectives. You need to know why are you running this campaign and what do you want to achieve, as well as how much money you have to spend on this type of advertising. Once you have these clear, you have to put together key messages. So main strapline and copy for your ads, and which call to actions you would like to use. Would you like people to buy, to book, to call, to register? So you have to put together all this information before starting, because if we have all of this, then it's basically just going step by step in the platform and building and designing the text ads. Sorry, so if you're new, just a little bit of explanation on the ads. So the campaigns are organized by campaign, where we have to set up our budget, how much money do we have for the campaign, and how much money we are going to be able to spend a day. The bid, which is how much we're going to spend per click, how much we're willing to pay, or how much we can afford, obviously. And the duration of the campaign. Do we want to run it all the time? Do we have an end date? Do we want to run it for 15 days, stop and continue? We need to have these clear in order to set up when we create our campaign. Then within every campaign, we're going to have ad groups, and these groups are going to have different ads. So ad groups, we have to control all the keywords in here. We have to include the keywords that we would like our ads to be shown by. Once we have the keywords together, then it's time to get the copy. So this is when we design our ads. So we need copy, we need the URL, and we need specific extensions that we will see later on. So we can have call outs, so call to actions. We could have site links, which is links to different sections on our website. And we could also have extensions. So like another type of extension, like snippets. So for instance, key features of our products. I know this looks a bit blurry right now because it's just the structure, but it's clear that you understand that we have a campaign or many campaigns. Inside each campaign, we can have one ad group, two ad groups, as many ad groups as we want, depending on as many keywords in our focus. And then within each ad group, we can have 1, 2, 3, we can have many different ads. We can go live with one single ad. However, I would not suggest doing that, because then you've got nothing to compare with. So you may think that is the best copy, those are the key messages, but you don't really know until you try. So ideally, you should create 2 ads per ad group, so that when you run the campaigns for a couple of days or a week, you can then see which keywords are performing better, so which keywords are not performing really well, in which case we would have to stop them, pause them, or delete them. And then you could also see the ads that are performing better. So this is the best copy, so I'm going to stop this ad. This is my winning one, the one that gets more impressions, the one that gets more clicks. This is my optimized ad. This is an example. So the structure of an ad. So that's why we were talking before about putting all the information together before starting, because we're going to need to come up with 2 headlines. As you can see, that blue copy up there. We're going to have a URL, which could be a generic one, like our homepage, or it could be a dedicated landing page that we're going to create for this campaign. We're going to need ad copy, so descriptions 1 and 2. And we're going to need call outs. If you want to make it interactive, you need people to do something. So if they see your ad, they need to see that they have to click to do something. So in our case, we can see the call outs are the light grey copy. So check our previous work. So in this case, this is an architect. So basically, we want them to see their portfolio so they can see the different projects the studio has been working on, and to book a consultation. So basically to fill in a form or call them to book an appointment or to talk about a specific project. When it says types, this is what I was referring before. These are called snippets. And basically, it's for Google and for customers to understand a list of different features of your products. So in here, I chose extensions and conversions because architects work on extensions, they work on conversions, they work on new buildings, many different ones. But in this case, I chose these two. And then there's another section for site links. So basically, you can have more than two. In this case, I only chose two because the website, it's quite small. And also, it's a studio, so there are not many different things you have to showcase apart from your portfolio. So link number 1, check our portfolio. If they click there, they're going to see the different projects the studio have been working for. And then tell us about your idea. So if they click there, it takes them to the Contact Us page. So basically what we want here is for people to fill in a form and talk to us or talk to the architect about the project that they have in mind. So having said all this, I think the best way to learn to do something is by doing. So say we're a marketing consultant and we come across a business case like this one. An architect based in London wants to bring more clients to his studio. And he tells us he only has £300 to spend a month. This is the website, and basically what he would like to achieve is he wants more traffic to the website because it's a new studio and a new website, and he needs to build brand awareness. But also, and most importantly, he needs leads, he needs clients to get interested in the business so that he could potentially get them to be sales, get them to be clients. So we speak to the client and we tell him, okay, there are many different marketing actions that we could take here, but we're going to go ahead to start with Google search, and we're going to prioritize local searches. So, okay, the business is based in London, but we're going to also use a radius of 90 miles to approach other areas and to get a bigger audience. So having said all this, we're now going to start with the demo. We're going to see how we would start a campaign step by step. I don't know if there are any questions so far, or if it's okay to move into the demo. Sorry, I hope you can all hear me properly. Hope everything's working smoothly right now. Okay. So I guess it's time to move and go to the demo. So, like I said before, if we have a Gmail account, we would go to ads.google.com, register, and we would access a page like this that is taking a little bit to load. But what we need is actually here. We would basically get to an interface like this, and we would click on New Campaign, because that's exactly what we want to do. So we click on New Campaign, and like mentioned before, we need clear objectives. So we said we wanted more website traffic and we wanted more clients. So even though in here we have many different options, we're going to go for website traffic. And I can even tell you that having worked for many different campaigns and in different companies, this is the one that pretty much everyone uses 90% of the time, because most of the businesses, they want to drive traffic to a page, whether it's the corporate page or a dedicated landing page. So I would say, without doubt, 90% of the time, choose this option. So we choose website traffic, and then we have to choose a campaign type. So today we're only focusing about search. So basically when somebody searches for something on Google, the ads that display. But just for you to know that there are many different options. So you have display. So these are the ads that get shown on many different pages that work with Google Ads. So for instance, if you go to a newspaper or if you go to an online dictionary, most of the times you get to see ads displayed on the sides. These ads are displayed Google Ads, but this is not what we're doing today. Then you've got Google Shopping, which is when you type in a sentence or a word in the Google search box, you can also go in through the into the shopping tab. Same with video tab and discovery, but today we're going to focus on search. So we click search, and then they want to have access to our website. So we paste our website, which is this one. This is the Architect Studio, and we click continue. Sorry, the internet connection. Don't know what's happening. It's asking me to reload. Today, technology is not in my side. Everything is working really badly. I apologize. Hopefully it works well now. So sorry. I'm going to try and open a new tab to see if it speeds up. Okay, hopefully now. I think my laptop is collapsing with so many programs open at the same time. Okay. Okay, we're back to our dashboard. So hopefully it'll work now. Sorry for all the technical problems today. I can promise it was working well when I was trying before. So, new campaign. Like we said before, we're going back to website traffic, search, our business URL, we continue. Okay, now it seems to work. So we need a name for the campaign. For this time, since this is the first ad that we're going to run, we're going to call it Generic UK, because basically we want to approach everyone in the UK, anyone looking for an architect or looking for an architecture studio. And then we're not going to choose, like I explained before, we're not going to have display ads. So we untick this one because we're only interested in the search network. We're interested in the UK, but we're not interested in the whole country because obviously this is a studio based in London and they can't do projects, for instance, in Manchester or really far away from London. So basically, if we choose here, enter another location, and we go to advanced search, we can basically do what we suggested before. So we can say we want only people in a radius of 90 miles from London. So we choose London, and then you can see here all the people that we're going to approach with this campaign. So we save, so say people in Bristol, they wouldn't be able to see our ads, or people in Bath because they're out of our radius. So we save. Now we have our location. We leave this as it is, don't worry about these options. And then English is going to be the language. We're not going to have any other languages for this campaign. And the budget. So the studio said that they had £300 to invest in a month. So basically £10 a day. So we say that we can only afford £10 a day. We're never going to pay more than 10. There are going to be days where we spend 7, 6, 8. It depends on the number of clicks, but we're going to make sure that we never spend more than 10. And now we choose, what do we want to focus on? So we want to focus on clicks. That's what we want to achieve. We want to get people to see our ad, be interested, and click on it. And since we have a very small budget, so for some of the big companies, these may not be the case, but since this is a small or medium company and the budget that we're working with, it's very small, we should set up a maximum cost per click, because some of the keywords that we're going to use later, they may be too expensive. So we don't want to spend the whole budget, the whole £10, in 2 clicks. So we want to make sure that we get more exposure. So we're going to set up a maximum of 1.5. This is like a rough number. It could be a different one, but this is just an estimation to make sure that at least our ads get to be shown 8, like we can get 8 to 7 or 7 to 8 clicks a day-ish, if this is the price of the clicks. Then the more settings in here that we're not going to fill in, because in terms of conversion, this is more of an advanced course that we may have later on. And then we have ad extensions. We are definitely using this. So do you remember when we were talking about the ad structure before? We had different site links, we have call to actions, and we had phone number. So there are many extensions that you can choose and you can add here, but these are the ones that we chose for our ads. So in this case, site links, in your case, if you start a campaign, these will be blank. These are here because these are the ones that I chose before. So we're going to choose check out our portfolio. So when people see our ad, they're also going to see other links to our website. So in our case, check out portfolio and tell us about your idea, which is fill in the form. Then we also have call to actions. We chose these 2, but you could have as many as you want to, and they could be obviously different. So if it's not the case of an architect and we're talking about shoes or we're talking about books, it's more about buy now, get your copy, get your pair. So these can change. In our case, our call to actions are going to be book a consultation, because we want people to fill in the form and leave us their details, and check our previous works, because we want people to see a portfolio of projects. And then obviously, and this applies normally to small businesses, if you work for a big company, you could have customer service numbers, but not a personal one. So you could have a telephone number. In this case, it's the main architect number. So we save and continue. Sorry, this is because the campaign already existed with that name, because that's the campaign that I'm going to use to show you data. So we save. It takes a little bit of time to load, but we're getting there. Okay, and now we have our campaign name. We have the budget, how much we're going to spend a day. And we have as well a maximum cost per click that we're willing to pay, as well as our extensions. So now it's time to have ad groups. So maybe the ad group in this case could be architects in the UK. And if I were to run further ad groups, I could have architects in the UK as one. I could have architects in London, just for people looking for architects in London. Then I could have architects more precisely in specific areas of London, like West London, South London. This is more up to you, how many ad groups you can create. But also in this case, since the budget is so limited, we're going to focus in just one. It's going to be a generic campaign. So Google, by default, they're going to provide you with a list of keywords that you can see in here. They basically get them from your website. They get information for all the metadata in here, and they suggest you some keywords. To be honest, normally the ones that they suggest here are not extremely relevant. They are related to the architecture sector, but not really to what we want to advertise here. So I would get rid of them and I would enter our own keywords. But you can also use this. This is a small box that gives you ideas. So you can go through them and see if something works for you, but ideally you should have your own ones to start with. So this is what we're going to do now. We're going to paste our keywords, we're going to save, and when the campaign is ready, we're going to refine these keywords, because then we're going to go to settings, and there's a tool, a Google tool that is called Keyword Planner, that is going to allow us to get new ideas for keywords if we run out of ideas, and it's going to let us know the volume of searches that each keyword is going to generate. So in our case, we could choose small home builders. Yes, why not? We could choose definitely not Cheaperfield London, because this is a studio, so we don't want to be seen, because if people are looking for this specific architect, they're definitely not going to be interested in a new one. So these may not really work for us, but what people would actually type in when searching for an architect would be architect in London, architect in the UK, best architect in London, home extensions, kitchen extension, so many different ones. We're not going to put them now, all of them here, because it would take a lot of time for the demo, but you should put together as many keywords as you think people would use to find your business. And then, as you can see here, the different ways of introducing them. So basically, I think it's best to go for broad, not to limit traffic and to get enough number of impressions. But as you can see here, there are three ways for Google to reach your keywords. So if I type them as I have done, this is called broad match. What does it mean? It means that Google matches all your keywords. So the ads will show on searches that include misspelling, synonyms, similar searches, and variations. However, if I choose to use these inverted commas, that means it's a phrase match. And this means the ads will show on searches that match the exact term or very close variations. Which are very close variations? So these would be some words before or after the phrase. So, for instance, if I say big kitchen extension, the big would not be considered. Or if I say kitchen extension in big houses, it wouldn't show. So if I add words before or after these phrases, our ads would not be shown. Then we have the option of brackets. So if I put these brackets in here, I can see a question, sorry to interrupt, but I can see a question from Julie that says, how many keywords can you use? Is there a recommended amount? When you start, there's not a recommended amount, there's not a limit. I wouldn't go for it would basically depend on your budget. If you have a small budget like this one, I wouldn't go for so many, because then you have less chances to get clicks. But in general, what you normally do is you set up like 10, 15 keywords. Then you run the campaign for a couple of days and then you refine. The thing with Google search is not that you're going to create a campaign and it's going to be fixed and ready and stable. You have to keep on refining, sometimes messages, sometimes keywords, sometimes speeds. It's about changing constantly, adapting, refining. It doesn't take really long, because eventually you're going to reach your perfect copy, your perfect bid, and your perfect keywords, but it's a learning process, so it takes a little bit of time. Yes, another question from Laura that says, is it important to use in the, or would it be possible without? This using in or not depends on what I was talking right now. So the match, so the keywords that you use. So if it's a broad match, everything is going to be considered. If it's a phrase match and you have the in only, if people type in, the ad will show, and is an exact match only if they type the exact sentence, your ad's going to be shown. So to start with, that's why I was suggesting using broad matches. So you start with broad keywords and then you refine. So you wait to have some data, to have some feedback. So say the ads run for a couple of days, you're going to be able to see which keywords are performing better. So probably builders, small home builders is not going to be one of them, but architect in London is going to have a lot of traction, a lot of searches, and maybe if I'm willing to pay more, I'll do this. Maybe I'll do brackets, so that I 100% know that my ads are going to be shown when people type in this. But for me to know all this information, I need to start running campaigns. I need to start using keywords, because if it's a new business that you don't really know, you can guess. Now when we use the keyword tool, you can guess search volume and see if your keywords are relevant or not. But it's actually best to play with them, to do tests and see how they work. Oh, can you say that again, says Laura, about broad? So broad means your ads are going to show no matter what people searches, because even if I say small home builders, this is going to include misspelling, it's going to include synonyms, it's going to include similar searches. So instead of a small home, it could be small house, small, big variations. So when you say broad, it will get something similar to these, but also a bit different. When it's phrase match, is exactly what you're typing, but also it would also work with some words before and some words after. So architect in London, if I do this, if I do inverted commas, my ad would show not only when somebody searches for architect in London, but also when somebody searches best architect in London, or architect in London with experience in blah, 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 blah. So if I add copy, if I add words before and after my phrase, these would be phrase match. And therefore, since I'm bidding for this sentence, my ads will show. And if I do the brackets, these brackets, only if somebody searches for architect in London, the ads will display. If somebody searches for the best architect in London, my ads won't display because it's not the exact match. Question from Linda. There are a lot of online free tools and methods to identify and optimize keywords. Which ones do you recommend or usually use? So normally I use the Google Keyword Planner. I use Google Trends to know about different topics and different searches. And then most of the time I get the information from the website. So if you have your Google Analytics and you have your Google Search Console, you get to know about a lot of keywords, not just paid ones, but also organic. So those are the tools that I would normally use, and the tools that we would use in the companies that I've worked previously. Okay. So now that we have these, we also can take a look at this box on the right, because it shows, according to the keywords that I've included, the number of expected clicks that we would get a day and the average cost per click. So far it looks really good, because 0.23 is a very decent cost per click. Once the ads start running, and I'll show you later a real campaign, you'll actually notice that cost per click for a niche like this is actually going to be higher. But I guess some of the keywords that I've chosen in here are not so relevant and therefore is a bit lower. So now we have everything we need. We have campaign, we have the ad group, we have the keywords. So now we can save and continue. Okay, so now it's time to actually design our ads. So this is about having the copy. And how do you know which one is the best copy? Again, I would actually have more than one ad, one or two, with different copies, different ways of saying things, to see which ones get better performance, which ones get more impressions, but also which ones get more clicks. So we're going to see this later, but actually the click-through rate, I'd say, would be the key metric to look at. So in our case, I already have the copy ready. So we're going to say designed Focus Studio for headline number 1. we're going to say inspiring architectural design. The URL is already here. You can see that as I'm typing here, it displays on mobile or on desktop, depending on what I choose in here. And then these is more for an advanced course, because you can actually tailor the website that shows here according to the keywords that they search on Google, but forget about this for now. And we're going to have a real copy, the description of the ad. So we have experienced in both commercial and residential projects, and then house extensions, new homes, public spaces, and historically important buildings. Okay, so this is our ad. We have, like we saw before, headline number 1, we have headline number 2, and URL, copy for our ads. Again, our call to actions that we defined before. We want them to check our previous works, our portfolio. We want them to book a consultation with us, and the type of works that we do. These are the snippets that we said before, which are features of our products. We also have links to our website, to other sections of our website, and we have a telephone number. So our ad is ready. We can see how it looks mobile, how it looks desktop. We're ready. So, like I said before, I would create more than one ad, but for now, because it's already quite late, my settings set dynamic headlines. How can I change that? Dynamic headlines. Oh, because maybe you chose something before. I don't really know. If I go back, I'm going to stop this. So I can come back to you later and leave you a message, because if I go back, I'm going to miss what we're doing right now, but I'll go back, won't forget. So yes, like I said, this is our first ad. We would actually have to create, click here, done, and create next ad, and create something in these lines, along these lines, but with different copy to see which one performs better. But for now, we're just going to have this one. So we would save and continue. And congratulations, your campaign is ready. So it's starting today in London with these radius of 90 miles English. We can't spend more than £10 a day. Our main objective is website traffic, and we're going to maximize clicks, never spending more than £150. Okay, so now that the campaign is ready, we have to go back to the campaign, like I said before, to refine keywords. So this is the campaign. We go to keywords, and we have an option here that is called negative keywords. So these are the ones that we included. You can see the keywords that we included before. And it says that this one is broad match, this one is exact match. But now we also have to include negative keywords. And I would always suggest to do this because there's some filters that should be applied. So some keywords we don't want to be found by. So in this case, these architects are only working with very, I'd say, modern, innovative, expensive projects. So we don't want our ads to be shown when somebody searches for cheap architects. We don't want to be found for people looking for free architects either. People might get confused and actually think that builders and architects kind of are the same thing. So we don't want to be found when somebody's looking for builders, or builders in the UK, builders in London, sorry for my typing, builders in London. So in here, basically you set up the different keywords and phrases you don't want to be found by. Do you think that spending like £2 a day for a very small brand is okay or a waste of money? Joanna, very good question, but I think since we're having so many questions right now, I think I'll answer all of them as soon as we're finished with this and we go into the questions and answers. A very good question. So yeah, basically here you put a list of negative keywords you very well know what you don't want to be found by, so you save. So for instance, when I was running a campaign for my sister, who is a dentist and she runs a dental practice, I was like, first visit, free first visit, cheap treatments, discounted surgery, oral surgery, all these things she didn't want to be found by. So we have to think about business. We have to be really focused on what we want people to type it and find out. And that's when we get to negative keywords here. And then since we did our list of keywords, a little bit of guessing, what we can do now is actually go to Tools and Settings and get the Keyword Planner. So the Keyword Planner is going to give us a lot of information, not just in terms of ideas, but also in terms of searches. So as you can see from here, these are searches that I did before today to try. And all of your searches are going to be listed here all the time. And then you can search your potential ideas. So when I chose architects in London, was it a good idea or wasn't? So architects in London, let's see if it has enough traction. So we wait for Google. Yes, okay. So Google says that architects in London, according to a budget, would get 4,700 impressions. So it would get to be seen 4,700 times. We would need £280 for budget. We would normally get to pay £130 for this combination of words, and our ads, according to our bid and according to our budget and according to the time that we've been running the ads, because the more time you run ads, the better your position. So there's so many variants to take into account, but definitely the time spent running campaigns helps. So the average position would be 2.3, which means when somebody types in architect in London, ad number 1 would be from a competitor, but ad number 2 would potentially be us. And they estimate that we could get 220 clicks. So a click-through rate of 4.7 is really good. So click-through rate is the number of clicks you get per impression. So if you divide this number by this one multiplied by 100, you get this number over here. And it means the number of people that actually click from seeing your ad. And in general, after seeing campaigns for other companies, obviously this is not a big campaign. We're not targeting countries. We're targeting a very small part of the UK. I would say over 3% always is going to be a good number. Not a high success, not a very huge success, but always very, very good numbers, above 3%. So if we were considering and using this keyword and we were not really sure, this data would show us that it would actually be a good idea. So we could do this with every single keyword that we were considering adding to the list to actually make sure that they were actually going to work well. But what we want to have now, what we want to do now is to find out new keywords, because we only put together a list of 6, 7, and we were pretty much guessing. We were not really sure. So basically what Google tells you is like, enter product or services closely related to your business, and then we'll give you some ideas. So I'm going to say architect, and I'm going to get my domain in because they can get some metadata from here. Chloe says, how do you know how many impressions is a good amount? In terms of impressions, it's more about searches. So impressions is not the important thing, because bear in mind, Google is the one deciding which ads to serve. So I wouldn't worry so much about impressions. I would worry about clicks, and I would worry about searches, because the impressions depend on so many things. You won't get your ad displayed depending on what your competitors are doing, depending on your bid, depending on the user performance. So I wouldn't worry about impressions. I think the key metric to look at is click-through rate and searches, the number of searches. So as you can see in here, these are the keywords that Google is recommending. So you have architect, you've got architecture firms, and then they have categories. So whether they have low, medium, or high, this means how many people are actually bidding. So if it says low, it means that we don't have many competitors for this specific keyword. So not many other architects are actually paying to show their ads with these keywords. Although nearly 50k, nearly 50,000 searches is quite a good number. And then you can have other ones here saying hi. So obviously David Chipperfield is a very well-known architecture studio here in London, and therefore many people are looking for them. So that's why it's high competition. Normally, this means that these special architect studio is actually bidding for these keywords most of the time. But look at this, just 10 searches, so it's not enough. I wouldn't use, even if I wanted to be shown when somebody's looking for this type of studio, I wouldn't go for this one because it doesn't have enough volume. So this gives you an idea. So maybe instead of architect, we want to show home extension. Get results. Yeah, home extension. See, competition medium, more people are actually bidding for this keyword. Don't know if there are new ones up here. So this is basically how you would do a keyword. So I would suggest the campaigns I've normally worked for, you put together your list of keywords, the one you believe that would work. You check searches like we did before here in the keyword planner. So you go for get search volume and forecast, and there, having this information, you just discard some of the keywords and just get the good ones. And sometimes you come here and try to find new ones that you didn't think about, as well as Google Trends. I'd say to use Google Trends, maybe not for this specific business, because architecture is probably not something most of the world is looking for. But if I were Nike, or if I were Vans, or if I were like Levi's, or these companies, it's very interesting to know what other people are looking for in order to come up with further ideas. And again, if we go back, so say we added all those, we have our keywords refined, we're happy with the content of our ads, so the campaign is ready. So we built this campaign right now. I have 3 campaigns in here. This is the one that's called generic UK one that we created today. So you can see it's got 0 cars, 0 clicks, 0 click-through rate. Makes total sense because we've just launched it, so it's not going to have impressions and click ASAP. Actually, Google reviews the content of the ads, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get some traction, but normally in like 3 hours, well, it depends on the day, but normally in a couple of hours you start seeing results. But just so that you can see how it looks like after you run your first campaign, you would go to overview and you would have an interface like this one, like a big dashboard. So this campaign, I created it like 3-4 days ago to get some sort of information for you guys to see. Using the same architecture example, which is actually a real example for one of my friends. I'm doing this for free for one of my friends. And basically this campaign, the All UK, is not working really bad. It needs some sort of improving. As you can see in here, it's 82.6. This is our optimization score, so there are some things to fix. In this case, if you click view, Google will tell you that it's actually because of conversions. He needs to make changes. If you check the website is here, and it's not bad in terms of design. Obviously, he's a very good architect, but in terms of website quality, it needs more pages. So that's why I couldn't set up a conversion rate for this, because he needs to improve the website before. But so far, the ads are very good. And he's got 2,500 impressions in 3-4 days. Bearing in mind he only spends £10 a day, is not really bad. So far he's achieved 48 clicks. This tells you as well how much money you spend on average per click, £1.15. This is the amount of money that he spent so far, so nearly £55. So if this was real, these 2 that we created here, he could actually see, okay, this campaign is working well because it's got a lot of clicks, but it's got better click-through rate, Sorry, another question. Is there a particular time and day that is best for setting up ads? No. The way to know about ads performance, the times of the day, you're actually going to see it here. So once your ads start running, you're going to be able to come here to the main dashboard and see day and hour, so you can see where you get more impressions and where you get more traction. So I suggest that you start running ads, checking data, and then you can, if you want, refine your ads so that they're only shown specific times. So for instance, in here, it says Wednesday, weird time, midnight. So maybe we would only like to show ads from 11 to 1 or 2 a.m. because this is the time that works for us on Wednesdays. And maybe on Tuesdays, it's more about midday. I mean, these ads, they have only been running for a couple of days. So in order to make decisions according to data, in order to leverage data, you have to leave data to show, you have to leave ads, to run for a bit more. I'd say like at least a week to be able to make proper decisions. That was the question for Jackie, yeah. And yes, just so that you can read, this is the main dashboard. If we had another course more advanced, we would actually go to every single report in here to show you how to read every single data. But for now, to have like basic knowledge and to be able to run your first campaign, it's important that you know how to create the ad and also how to read these dashboards. So I'd say this campaign is working better because it's got higher click-through rate, but also it hasn't been live for so long, so it's not good to compare. So when you make decisions, make sure you're comparing apple to apples. Laura Khan, do you have a format for naming campaigns at groups designs? Imagine it can get very confusing. Oh yes, totally agree. In the previous company I used to work for, sometimes I wouldn't even understand myself. Not really, depends on the company. Naming conventions change from one company to the other, but we would normally use for the campaign the objective. So I used to work, so my previous role, I used to be brand director for Hort International Business School, and we would do campaigns for the whole world. So the campaign for us would be Asia, so normally by region, or Europe, or Africa. And then the ad groups, we would normally have just for like BAs, or another ad group for MSCs, or another ad group for executive education. And then we would have different ads with different copy. But obviously, these changes depending on the company. But if you work on global campaigns, I would say you would normally choose the country, region, or area as campaign. Then you would have product specific ad groups, and then you would have your ads. But again, it may change depending on the product. I wish there was a naming convention for this. There's not. Why does your friend's website need more pages to get better ad results? It needs more pages because in order for me to set up, not to get better ad results, is for me, in order to get the conversion rate, which is basically what Google is telling me here, is one of the recommendations that they're saying you need to improve, you need to set up a conversion goal, which I haven't, is because I need to make changes to the code of the website. So this is not refined, it's not responsive. Look at the length of the forms. I need to be able to touch this page to get in a pixel. So the website needs changes. Also, the fact that you go to the home page and the home page is the portfolio page doesn't help, because when we were creating the sections of the website, the site links, the URL of the ad, it was the same as the site link. And that shouldn't be the case. So he should have a home page, for instance, and then another page for projects, displaying these projects. So yeah, the website needs a little bit of refining. It's not really bad, but it needs a little bit of refining. And if you want to measure conversion, so if you want to know how many people fill in this form and can be considered a lead, if you want it to be shown here on the overview, you need to make changes to the code. Francis, would you keep it separate, say have a long running campaign and then short and direct display ad with a single CTA with individual badges? Oh, okay, I need to reread this question again. Would you keep it separate, say having long running campaign and then short and direct display? I hope I get this one right. So for instance, I think with an example is best to explain this. Normally companies, they have all year round campaigns. So when it comes to Google paid ads, and then they have dedicated paid campaigns for specific ones. So coming back to my same example, I guess this is what you're referring to. So my previous example at Hold, we would have ads along the year, very generic, driving constantly, and we would get a lot of information from keywords, from copy from the ads. But then when there was a specific intake, when we knew there was going to be a deadline for application, we would run a separate one with different keywords. Some of them would be the same, but we would add new ones and we would change the copy. So yeah, normally you run many different campaigns at a time, and big companies normally have, like you said, separated ones. If you had an overall ad spend budget of say 200 for a month, how would you divide it up and how much spend on search and display? Tricky question. So just so that you know, display is normally much more expensive, the cost per click, because since the ads get shown on many different websites, it's easier for people to click sometimes because they're interested, but most of the time by mistake. So you will see that these ads, for instance, they've been running for 3 days and you've spent 54 quid. This is the amount you would spend on display in 1 day, for instance, if we were to run the same campaign. So I wouldn't really know. I think it depends on the business. You need to know whether you want to show your ads when people try to find something on Google, or whether you're more interested in specific pages, because then with display you can choose. So if I were back into the so for instance, when I work for publishing, if I were to sell books, I would be very interested in people searching for fiction books, for instance, and get to be shown there. But maybe I would also like to be shown on blogs from booktubers or bloggers that are interested in books, and that would be more expensive. I would have to know, in order to divide the budget, I would have to know the traffic. So normally I would go to Google Analytics and see how much direct traffic I'm getting, how much affiliate traffic I'm getting. I can't really tell you have to split. Normally, and pretty much everything in marketing is about testing. So I could say, okay, pretty much 75 search and 25 display, and see how it performs. So most of the time when you lack information, when you don't know all the variants, you have to test A/B, test and try, and according to the numbers, refine. That's how I would say that you should do. But it depends on, it's very difficult to create like a rule and things how to be done. It changes from one product to the other. Don't know if that solves your question. And yes, pretty much these are the keywords that our ads have been shown. So architects in London, 5 clicks, house to build 5. You can see the click-through rate, you can see the searches. Like I said before, this is very useful information. So I would use this information to improve the website. I will try and use some of these keywords along the website to improve SEO, to improve organic content. These you can see performance for every single ad. So if you scroll here, this is ad number 1, the number of impressions, clicks, for all of them. So this dashboard is actually very useful. You can also see how many people access using desktop, mobile. In this case, it doesn't matter if it's male or female, but for instance, if I were a cosmetic brand or a beauty brand, then it would be really interesting for me to see the audience here, even the age range. So this is everything. I feel like I've been talking for a long time. You may be already very tired of me, but yes, I've tried to cover pretty much all the basics. Hopefully it's been useful for everyone. It's been interesting. You're now capable of running your own campaign, even if it's just a trial, to see how data is working. And thanks for everything. I'm gonna go back to the questions and see if I am missing any. Let me see questions. If you had multiple ads, Jenna says, if you had multiple ads in one campaign, how would you view each ad? So I'll show you here. So this campaign, sorry, the internet is a bit not great today. Blame on Virgin. So you can see I have the keywords here, and you can see that I have more than one ad. See? So for this specific campaign group that I call variety of services, because in this copy, I basically wanted to showcase that they do a variety of services. I have different ads. And then basically my way to discard, I will actually take a look at this in a couple of days and get rid of some ads, change some keywords, probably refine some copy. So in this case, this specific ad, no clicks, no impressions, not click-through rate, done. I would click this one here and say pause or even delete. Then if this stays like this for a couple of more days, I will probably get rid of this one too, because even though click-through rate may look quite decent, the number of impressions is not really good, and I will wait for this one for a bit longer to see if it drives more impressions, because the click-through rate so far is doing really good. And for now, these would be like my winning ad. I know this click-through rate is way higher than this one, but also in comparison to the impressions, I wouldn't know what to do. I think I would keep these two for now and get rid of these two. So that's how I would analyze ads. You basically have to go one by one, check the click-through rate, number of impressions and clicks, and make decisions according to that. Probably I will also change the copy. This copy is pretty similar. If you see, there's not much change. So this also gives me an insight. This is the copy that works. When I try to make it a bit different, like when I try to say in London, no, it doesn't work. So now I know localization is not a good thing. So going back to your question, when you have multiple ads in one campaign, you have to get the big picture like this, analyze one by one what is happening, and make decisions. Laura says, to get some serious click-throughs on your ads, roughly what sort of figure do you believe a company would need to spend per month? Oh, so for this specific company, I would say double. I would do, but they couldn't. I mean, my friend couldn't. He said, I want to do a trial. Makes sense. When you start, just do a small trial, and then you can build from there. But I would say 600. Why? Because when we were checking the keywords, architects in London, which is one of the best performance keywords, we're going to go back to the keywords, see? It is very expensive. So in here it shows 131, that's what I was spending. But when we went to the keyword tool, we could actually see that sometimes prices are nearly £3. And what is the problem? That if most of the time prices are £3, my ads don't get seen because my bid is 1.5. And my bid is 1.5 because I'm only capable of spending £10 a day. Whereas if I had 20, I would actually bid like 3.5 for that specific keyword, because I can see this is a key keyword for me because it's driving the most clicks. Yeah, I'd say double in this case. Another one. Reposting my question, do you think that spending like £2-4 a day for a very, very small brand is okay, or a waste of money? To be honest, search ads £2-4 a day, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do Google search less than 10. From my experience, I have also done very small campaigns, like I said, these for my friend, for my sister who's got a dental practice, for a couple of small businesses as a freelancer. never less than £10, because even though sometimes you may get some clicks like this one around around 0.94, look at this, most of the cost per click is 131, 122. That means you would only be able to get 2 clicks a day, and as soon as you get those 2 clicks, you're done. You don't have more budget for that day, so you won't get your ads to be seen. So I don't think it's worth. If you only have £2-4 a day as a budget, I would highly suggest using social paid media. Because if we talk about Facebook, then the cost per click goes down and you can get campaigns from 12p to £1 something, but definitely not Google. Google is quite an expensive solution. What should you put in headline 2? That was another question. I think all the ads, we can go back. Headline number 2, so this is headline number 1, just so that we're going back to the structure. Headline number 1, headline number 2, URL, description number 1, description number 2. Laura, do you ask clients if they saw your adverts? I don't have to, because normally they send me a screenshot saying, oh, great, yeah. Or also sometimes they're like, oh, I search for architect in London, or even my sister, like going to more a familiar example. My sister used to send me screenshots saying, hey, I'm using dentist in Spain and I don't get my ad. And then I also have to explain them that maybe that's not the keywords that we were bidding for, or maybe we've already reached the budget for the day, or maybe this is a very expensive keyword and that's why it's not showing today at this time, but it may show later. Yes, I get asked those questions a lot, because obviously everyone wants to be always in position number 1, and if you always want to be in position number 1, you're going to have to refine and change your ads constantly, and you need more of a £10 budget a day. If your budget was very small but you had a small local business, it's best to keep your location radius super small. The problem with small locations is the smaller, the more expensive, because for Google, the wider the audience, sorry, I can't even talk right now. The wider the audience, the more chances they have to run impressions. However, if you go for a very reduced one, they have less chances, and therefore more demand, and therefore more expensive. So no, that wouldn't help actually. It would be totally the opposite. Trying to see if I'm missing, going up and down, scrolling up and down to see if I'm missing any questions. Okay, I can't see any more. I don't know if I'm... How do you know if you reach the budget for the day? Can you see, for instance, the amount? Yeah, if you reach the budget for the day, it will show here. So when you go to the campaign overview, if you go to campaigns, when you reach the budget, it'll show on screen. Like, it will show here that you've reached your budget of the day. It would tell you, in here it says ads not showing. It's because I don't have an example here because I haven't used all the budget. But yes, it would definitely say when you go to the ads here, it would say ads not showing because you've reached your budget. In our case, it's okay because we haven't used it yet in these examples that I have here, but yes, it says. Can you see, for instance, the amount of searches you could have shown up if you had a higher budget? No, not exactly like that, but like I showed you before, Google gives you an estimate. So if you go to the keyword planner tool, it tells you an average, so it's an estimation. So because when they do this calculation, they bear in mind your business and your budget. So architect in London, get started. See, the number of impressions that you're going to get, the number of clicks. They give you an estimation. Your plan can get like this. So this is where you can get the information. How long would you wait before ending a campaign that isn't really working? It depends. So you always have to go. It's very difficult to tell you, oh, this is rules for everything. So sorry, I don't have rules. But in general, you have to play by ear and see how they perform. But if it doesn't get a very good click-through rate, if no impressions and no clicks, definitely gone. If very few impressions, no click, gone as well. If a lot of impressions but not clicks, not gone, but refine. So because if you get a lot of impressions but not many clicks, maybe it's because your copy is not really eye-catching, so I would change the copy. There's so many different options, but I'd say wait for like at least 3-4 days to see if you get impressions. You start getting impressions after, like, decent number of impressions after the first day. The ROI and the cost of this course has been fantastic. Thank you, Girls in Marketing. Thank you. On average, how long do you run a particular ad? Normally, campaigns are like, the shortest campaign I've ever run was 2 weeks. Because, like I said, the first week is pretty much for traction, to see, to make changes, to refine. But going back to the business example, we would do deadline campaigns, so before an application deadline, and it would be 2 weeks. We would do retargeting in this case, which is more of an advanced tool, but we would basically show these ads for 2 weeks to the people who came to our website in the past 2 weeks for the next 2 weeks. But yeah, normally I'd say not less than 2 weeks. That's not going to give you enough information. You're not going to generate enough impressions, so definitely not worth it. So I think these are all the questions. I've been talking for so long. Sorry to get all your time on a Wednesday. How many times would you review ads? Normally in big companies, you have specialists that check these every day, once or twice a day. But if it's a small business like this, when I start, I wait. So I normally check them every 2 days. It doesn't take so long. The first times that you review, you have to change keywords. So you have to go to the keywords and see, oh, these are like this one, rarely shown. Nobody's seeing this keyword. Okay, so I'm going to post it. Or maybe I would say, okay, this gets so many clicks, and it's very expensive. So, okay, I'm willing to pay a bit more here. So maybe I increase. If I go to Google Planner and I see that the keyword is £2 and I am bidding 150, I'll be like, okay, so this specific one is working really well. I'll upgrade it to £2. But the first days is when you make more changes. The rest of the days is more about minor changes. Sorry if you have answered this. Are you better to add a new ad to a campaign to compare performance rather than editing a live ad? Yes, definitely. Definitely always add a new ad, because if you edit a live ad, you miss the stats from before. You unless you make a note, it would be really difficult to differentiate from one to the other. So you normally duplicate. There's an option to duplicate ad, and you make changes to the duplication. Yeah, now I think it's everything. It's nearly 9, so I guess you're all very tired. Thanks so much for all your questions. Hope this has been useful, and if it was, please make comments so that we can think about more of an advanced course maybe in the upcoming months. Thanks everyone. So sorry again for the technical issues. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.